Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Mike McDaniel had a day that many fans didn't think he was capable of having. Amid all the chatter about his job security and the rising tide of criticism surrounding his leadership, McDaniel orchestrated a masterful performance on Sunday as the Miami Dolphins steamrolled the Atlanta Falcons in a game that was, at times, a clinic in offensive creativity and defensive dominance. From the opening drive, it was clear that the Dolphins were dialed in, both schematically and mentally, and for the first time in weeks, McDaniel looked like the coach that fans were hoping for when he was hired. The quarterback play was crisp, the offensive line held firm, and the play calling seemed to anticipate the Falcons' every move. Yet, while the win was undeniable and certainly offered a temporary reprieve from the mounting speculation about McDaniel's future, there is a glaring concern that reared its head during the victory, one that cannot be ignored, and one that echoes a mistake from the previous season that still haunts the Dolphins fan base. The issue, quite simply, was the unnecessary risk to Minkah Fitzpatrick. Here was a game where Miami held a commanding 34-3 lead midway through the fourth quarter, a lead so comfortable that the outcome was, for all practical purposes, decided. And yet, Fitzpatrick, arguably one of the Dolphins' most critical defensive players, remained on the field. He would later sustain a thumb injury on a play that mattered little to the final outcome, a seemingly minor incident that could, if it lingers, impact Miami's chances against the Baltimore Ravens in their next matchup. The thought that a game with a nearly insurmountable lead still puts a frontline star in jeopardy is not just frustrating. It's a repeat of a scenario from last year that ended in heartbreak and could have been avoided with better game management. The memory of Bradley Chubb's injury at the hands of the Ravens in December 2023 is still fresh in many minds, a stark reminder that keeping starters in on low-stakes plays can carry serious consequences. To revisit that moment, on New Year's Eve of last season, the Dolphins were facing the Ravens in a game that had already slipped away, trailing by a staggering 49-19 late in the fourth quarter. Chubb, who had been having a standout season with 11 sacks, remained on the field and suffered a knee injury on a routine run by Melvin Gordon. That injury didn't just end Chubb's season. It also diminished the team's defensive capabilities for the AFC East showdown against the Bills and the playoff game against the Chiefs. McDaniel, when asked about the rationale for keeping starters in during inconsequential stretches, admitted that hindsight would have dictated otherwise. His intent was never malicious. It was about finishing the game with a sense of pride and giving players a chance to feel the rhythm of competition. But the lesson is glaring. Putting your most valuable players at risk when the outcome is already determined is a gamble with consequences far larger than the fleeting satisfaction of finishing strong. Fast forward to Sunday, and the same pattern appeared to be repeating itself, though under very different circumstances. Unlike the blowout loss in Baltimore, the Dolphins were the ones dominating the game against Atlanta. Yet Fitzpatrick, along with edge rusher Jaelan Phillips, another high-usage, high-impact player, remained on the field during a drive that required nothing more than clock management and cautious play. It's understandable to want to maintain rhythm and give players reps, but there are ways to balance that with prudence. Miami already lost safety Ashton Davis in the game, but there were still enough defenders available to finish off the Falcons without risking one of their cornerstone stars. The question remains, why risk a key contributor when the game is firmly in hand? It's a mistake that should have been learned from the Baltimore game, and its recurrence is concerning for both fans and analysts watching the strategic side of Miami football. Despite this, the performance of the Dolphins on both sides of the ball was impressive and offered hope that, under the right circumstances, this team could make a serious push in the AFC. Anthony Weaver's defensive unit, which struggled earlier in the season against the Panthers and Chargers, showed signs of life and cohesion, particularly in a performance that might be described as a return to the strength that characterized the back half of last season. The front seven, which had looked inconsistent in previous weeks, came alive, holding the Falcons' vaunted running game to a mere 10 yards in the first half and generating consistent pressure on the quarterback. Jaelan Phillips, Chop Robinson, and Bradley Chubb each contributed multiple pressures, while Jordan Brooks continued his standout play with tackles for loss and a sack. Even the rookies, Kenneth Grant and Jordan Phillips, demonstrated their ongoing development and ability to contribute at the highest level. The secondary, bolstered by Fitzpatrick, Rasul Douglas, and the redeployed Dante Trader Jr., complemented the pass rush effectively, creating turnovers, forcing hurried throws, and showing flashes of the disciplined, opportunistic defense that Dolphins fans hope to see every week. While this resurgence is encouraging, it cannot fully mask the strategic oversight of putting critical players at risk unnecessarily. Miami's defense, though dominant, will have to remain disciplined and healthy as the team faces an uphill battle. With injuries already affecting the offensive side of the ball, TYREEK Hill out for the season, Darren Waller sidelined for an extended period, and key offensive linemen James Daniels and Austin Jackson unavailable, the importance of keeping defensive stars like Fitzpatrick and Chubb healthy becomes even more pronounced. The Ravens, potentially with Lamar Jackson back under center, present a formidable challenge that will test every facet of Miami's game plan, from the defensive front seven to the secondary and beyond. A repeat of injury-induced absences could drastically alter the team's trajectory and nullify the confidence earned from a dominant performance against Atlanta. Ultimately, Sunday's win was a reminder that McDaniel has the capacity to lead the Dolphins effectively when his game planning aligns with execution and when his players are operating at peak performance. It's proof that, despite criticism and mounting pressure, he can orchestrate a game plan that maximizes his team's strengths and capitalizes on an opponent's weaknesses. However, the repeated oversight regarding player safety serves as a cautionary tale, highlighting the ongoing need for strategic discipline and risk management. The lesson for McDaniel is clear. The desire to finish the game with a certain level of pride or to maintain player rhythm must never outweigh the imperative of protecting core assets. The Dolphins roster is talented but fragile, and the cumulative impact of avoidable injuries could derail even the most promising season. Fans, analysts, and the coaching staff will all be watching closely to see if this lesson has truly been internalized, or if history is poised to repeat itself in the most consequential moments of the season. For now, Miami can celebrate a dominant win and a defense that is beginning to resemble the unit that carried them late last season. The front seven's emergence, the secondary's playmaking, and the overall team cohesion are encouraging signs for a franchise that has struggled with consistency and injuries. Yet the cautionary tale of Fitzpatrick's injury looms large, a reminder that even in moments of triumph, the smallest decisions can carry outsized consequences. McDaniel's challenge moving forward is to marry the tactical brilliance displayed against Atlanta with the prudence and foresight that will prevent key players from being sidelined at critical moments. If he can do that, the Dolphins have a legitimate path to competing in the AFC, leveraging both a resurgent defense and a capable, if sometimes inconsistent, offense. If not, the mistakes of the past could echo loudly, transforming potential victories into missed opportunities and reminding everyone that talent alone cannot compensate for avoidable errors. The Dolphins, their fans, and McDaniel himself will be watching closely as the next chapter unfolds against the Ravens, a matchup that promises both opportunity and risk, and that will reveal whether lessons have been learned or if history will stubbornly repeat itself in the world of Miami football. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? There's a buzz swirling through the Miami Dolphins fanbase tonight, one that feels heavier than the usual off-season chatter or midweek speculation. It comes in the form of an announcement that has left social media practically trembling. TYREEK Hill, the electrifying wide receiver whose plays have made Dolphins games must-watch events, has officially confirmed that he will be leaving the team. The news dropped almost unexpectedly, but the echoes of it have been resonating in every corner of the NFL world, from online forums to sports bars, to casual conversations among fans who never miss a Dolphins game. This is more than just a roster change. For many, it's a jolt to the heart of what made Miami's offense so captivating over the last few seasons. TYREEK Hill hasn't just been a player. He's been a phenomenon, the kind of athlete whose name alone can spark debates, viral clips, and endless highlight reels. And now, the reality of him stepping away from the Dolphins' colors has left a bittersweet taste lingering over a city and fan base that had grown so used to seeing his signature speed and gravity-defying catches week after week. From the moment Hill stepped onto the field in Miami, he brought a level of dynamism that few could match. His signature deep routes, his jaw-dropping sideline grabs, and his uncanny ability to change a game in a matter of seconds made him more than just a wide receiver. He became a symbol of hope and excitement for the Dolphins faithful. Rumors had been circulating for months, whispers about contract negotiations, trade possibilities, and even potential franchise reshuffles. Some dismissed them as typical off-season noise, the kind of speculation that happens every year when big-name athletes are involved. But now, those rumors have solidified into undeniable reality. Tyreek Hill's announcement didn't just confirm a departure. It ignited a whirlwind of emotions among fans who had come to identify him as the centerpiece of Miami's explosive offense. Comments across social media platforms range from shock and disbelief to heartfelt tributes, with many fans taking the time to recount their favorite Hill moments, from game-winning touchdowns to those impossible third-down conversions that seemed to defy physics entirely. Behind the scenes, sources suggest that this decision wasn't made lightly. There are talks about family considerations, personal goals, and even aspirations that go beyond the gridiron. For years, Hill has been a player who not only thrives under pressure, but also carries himself with a level of professionalism that commands respect from teammates and coaches alike. The Dolphins' locker room, according to insiders, is grappling with the same wave of emotions that fans are experiencing externally. Players who have shared the field with Hill reportedly expressed deep sadness upon hearing the news, knowing that the chemistry they've built, quarterback connections, timing routes, and those instinctive plays that only come from years of practice together, won't easily be replicated. Coaches are preparing for the inevitable shakeup in the offensive scheme, but the immediate concern is less about X's and O's and more about the emotional void that Hill's absence will create. This isn't just losing a top receiver. It's losing a cultural icon within the team, a player whose very presence elevated the performance and morale of everyone around him. The timing of the announcement has only fueled speculation further. Coming at a point when the Dolphins are evaluating their roster for upcoming seasons, the decision raises questions about the future of Miami's offensive identity. Will they pursue a high-profile trade to replace him? Will they look internally to develop new talent, hoping to fill a void that, realistically, might take years to fill? Analysts are already weighing in, breaking down potential impacts on game strategies, salary cap implications, and the psychological effect on both players and fans. Some pundits suggest that Hill's departure could signal a broader shift within the franchise, a moment of reinvention that, while painful now, might lay the groundwork for a new chapter in Miami Dolphins history. Meanwhile, fans are left in a liminal space, mourning the end of an era while trying to imagine football Sundays without one of the most electrifying players to ever wear the aqua and orange. The online fan communities are awash with GIFs, highlight reels, and heartfelt posts, a digital tapestry of memories that reminds everyone why Hill wasn't just another player. He was, for many, a reason to watch, a reason to cheer, and a reason to believe that Miami's offense could never be boring. As the news circulates, the narrative is evolving almost by the hour. There's speculation about where Hill might land next, and the rumor mill is running wild with potential destinations. Teams known for their high-octane offenses are reportedly circling, intrigued by the possibility of adding a game-changer who can alter defenses in the blink of an eye. Meanwhile, Miami fans are grappling with a mix of nostalgia and anxiety. Nostalgia for the highlights that made them fall in love with the Dolphins all over again, and anxiety over what the future holds without Hill's explosive talent anchoring their aerial attack. There's talk of potential emotional tributes in the final games he plays with the Dolphins, moments that could see stadiums filled with standing ovations, chants echoing across the city, and fans holding up signs that read messages of gratitude and admiration. It's a reminder that sports aren't just statistics and wins. They're about the human connections, the shared experiences, and the collective joy that players like Hill bring to an entire community. In the midst of this emotional storm, one thing is certain. Tyreek Hill's legacy in Miami is cemented. No matter where he goes next, he leaves behind a trail of memories that will be revisited for years to come. Every highlight, every clutch reception, every moment where he seemingly defied the laws of physics is now part of the lore of the Dolphins franchise. Young fans who grew up watching Hill develop into a superstar will carry those memories forward, teaching new generations about the player who could turn a routine pass into an unforgettable spectacle. Coaches, teammates, and fans alike are already speaking about the intangibles Hill brought: the work ethic, the intensity, and the joy he played with, which cannot be quantified by mere statistics. His impact transcended numbers. It inspired, elevated, and ignited the imagination of everyone who witnessed it. And while the void he leaves behind will be felt keenly, the hope is that the team can channel this moment into motivation, building a new identity while honoring the legacy of one of the most electrifying talents to ever grace Hard Rock Stadium. The ripple effect of this announcement is already being felt across the NFL. Analysts are debating how this will shift the balance of power, how defenses might adjust without having to account for Hill's blazing speed, and what kind of domino effect his departure could trigger across the league. Fantasy football players are scrambling to recalculate projections, while merchandise sales and fan engagement metrics are already reflecting the seismic nature of this change. And yet, amidst all the speculation and strategizing, the human element remains the most poignant. Social media posts range from lighthearted memes to deeply personal reflections, with fans expressing the sense of loss almost as if they were losing a close friend. The reality is that for many, TYREEK Hill was more than an athlete. He was a symbol of what made the Dolphins exciting, unpredictable, and thrilling. And while the future may be uncertain, the emotional resonance of his announcement ensures that he will be remembered not just as a player, but as a moment in time. A spark that lit up Miami and the NFL alike in ways that will never be forgotten. Even as the rumor mills churn with potential trades and contract details, the heart of this story is unmistakably emotional. TYREEK Hill leaving the Dolphins is not just a transaction. It's a turning point, a narrative twist that will redefine the next chapter of Miami football. Fans are preparing for the emotional farewell, for the last glimpses of brilliance on the field that once seemed endless, and for the challenge of imagining a Dolphins offense without its most electrifying spark. But within this sadness lies also admiration, a recognition of everything Hill achieved, the joy he delivered, and the legacy he leaves behind. This is the type of news that dominates conversation, floods timelines, and leaves a mark on an entire sports community. It's a reminder that in the world of sports, heroes come and go, but the memories they create remain, echoing in stadiums, living rooms, and hearts long after the final whistle. TYREEK Hill's announcement has done more than shake the Dolphins. It's moved them, and it has moved everyone who ever marveled at his speed, skill, and pure spectacle on the football field. And while the story of where he goes next is still being written, the story of what he meant to Miami is already legendary. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up.